Boy, oh boy, the patch everyone has been waiting for just dropped. Now, I have a lot to say. I really want to rant, but to respect your time, I'm going to speed read you the patch notes. Visuals thanks to Overwatch Cavalry on Twitter, sources down below, and then after, I'll discuss. Alright, Roadhog, Chain Hook. Impact damage reduced from 30 to 5. The enemy final position distance from Roadhog after being pulled increased from 3 to 4 meters, so they're further away when you hook them. Scrap gun, damage per pellets reduced from 6.6 to 6. Recovery time reduced from 0.85 to 0.8, reload time reduced from 2 to 1.75, and maximum ammo increased from 5 to 6. That's for Roadhog. I have a lot to say. Oh my goodness, we'll get to it. Orisa, Fortify, health bonus reduced from 125 to 75, so a slight nerf to Orisa. Sojourn, Railgun, energy gain is no longer based on damage done by primary fire. Each primary fire hit against an enemy player now grants 5 energy. Primary fire damage per projectile reduced from 10 to 9. And then we've also got Kiriko, Healing Ofuda. Recovery time increased from 0.85 to 1 second. Alright, so the star of the show here is obviously Roadhog, while the rest of the tweaks are very, very important, especially with Sojourn with a very, very, very smart nerf. Let me read this directly from Blizzard themselves. Developer comments, the energy gain adjustment will help smooth out Sojourn's average railgun charge time because it won't benefit as much from critical damage or damage boost abilities. TLDR, basically, they were able to nerf the damage boost plus Sojourn without nerfing Mercy. Very smart change, very smooth of Blizzard. But now it's time to discuss Roadhog. I tried to get that main patch as fast to you guys, like as fast as possible, but now you'll be able to watch this disgusting Roadhog gameplay in the background from me as we discuss Roadhog himself. Okay, first of all, I did tune into Flats' stream for a bit before talking here, and what I realized is after they went over Roadhog briefly, it is now confirmed that this, yep, hear me closely, this is not the Roadhog rework. This is not the Roadhog rework that was promised. They confirmed that it's still to come, which is absolutely wild. It is wild. Now, before I forget, I do want to mention that Brigitte is getting a rework, likely coming in Season 4, which will rework her ultimate and other aspects. And with Roadhog, it is supposed to be a new utility to his kit, which is still coming. Again, it is still coming. Oh my goodness, dude. It's absolutely insane, because what do these current changes mean for the future if they're just going to add new utility and change Roadhog anyways? But don't get me wrong, I'm happy to hear about Brigitte, but back to ranting. They have basically fumbled the ball so many times, no longer wanting to delay Roadhog's dominance on the game, that they threw a bunch of number nerfs at him without properly reworking him. What the heck, dude? We've been waiting, and then it's just a number nerf that could have been done right at the start. Right at the start. That is wild. Now, the impact damage, the change on his chain hook is great. Reducing the initial damage and the distance from the target is eliminating his one shot for many targets now, and basically the enemies have a chance to react. But it's still a strong ability, especially in pair with teams, right? You say I hooked. People focus the person you hooked, you'll kill them very fast. Especially because the scrap gun got a buff. Besides the damage per pellet reduced from 6.6 to 6, but recovery time was also reduced, the reload time was also reduced, and the maximum ammo was also increased for a whole extra bullet. So that's pretty massive. That is pretty massive. Of course, what you're watching in the background is pre-nerfed Roadhog. I still have 5 bullets in my scrap gun, and I'm absolutely decimating. But I noticed in a lot of moments, while I shouldn't be going off on my own to get a pick, a lot of moments just being able to brawl against them I would have been able to dominate. So I still think Roadhog will be strong, but just getting rid of the frustrating mechanic and the one shot is huge. Now, how does it play out? We have to wait until it's in the live servers, which I think is today. I don't know. We should wait till it's live servers, see how the statistics are, see how people feel. With all that being said, if it does completely remove his one shot, effectively making him way weaker, but the scrap gun buffs don't do its job in allowing him to be a strong brawler, he will fall from grace very heavily. And after being dominant for so long, most people are okay with that, including me, but it's not what we call healthy game balance, right? That I feel is just a given, right? It's not what you'd call healthy game balance. Healthy game balance would have seen that rework, something that changes his kit fundamental that allows him to maybe still be a brawler and be fun to play, but remove the frustrating mechanic. And I'm a little bit scared. I'm a little bit scared with how Blizzard dealt with this. Now, the patch itself is pretty light, but it still does shift the meta quite aggressively for the end of this season. We do expect more changes in the start of the next season, and I hope that they're a little bit more aggressive and hopefully shake things up a little bit more. Again, I'm just mainly upset that they waited this long just for numbers changes. I think all of us expected some sort of rework because that was literally how it was being touted, especially for Roadhog. Like, Junker Queen was considered spicy changes, and we got them, and they were spicy changes. But Roadhog was considered a rework, and then it got delayed and delayed and delayed as he dominated, and then we just got, there's no rework. There was absolutely no rework here at all. All right, so I'm gonna talk a little bit more. So there's a two-part thing I want to say here. The first part is we do need to appreciate that the fact that Blizzard is trying to communicate with the community more. A big thing here, like a lot of you might not know, is that 30% alt charge is being adjusted in next season. You know, when you switch heroes, you retain the alt charge, which is making counter picking very, very prominent. Blizzard's going to change that. How do I know it? You guys could know it too, because one of the devs is allowed to tweet it now. So they are being a little bit more open, right? They're having interviews with Flats and Emong on stream. I think around 48 minutes ago, they started it and they talked about it. And that's how I knew that it wasn't the final Roadhog nerf, that there was still a rework coming. So they are communicating more, and we need to still appreciate that. However, the base of communication, full respect to the people communicating, it is still doesn't seem enough in the back end, and balance is only one part. Balance seems to slowly getting better, but while we thought they were moving faster, then all of a sudden the rework got delayed like forever, and then we just got a weird number nerf. When the rework finally comes, does that change the number nerf? I mean, it has to, because if it changes this kit, it's going to change balancing again. It feels messy. Quick is one thing, messy is another thing, and then random delays that make the quick messy is another thing as well. I hope I'm being a little bit clear here. It just doesn't feel concise. It doesn't feel planned. It feels that Blizzard's being reactionary, but on their back feet, right? It's not all thought through. And that's only with balance. The entire interview, nothing was mentioned, right? We have no info from, I don't have access to Blizzard. These people do. I don't. There was nothing mentioned about like what happened with Genji. He still just got nerfed to the ground, is now unplayable. They don't care. They mentioned Sombra's not in a good spot, but didn't mention anything about what they'll do. It just, messy. I keep thinking the word messy. It is a mess. And all that, nothing to do with how events have been. I'm so sad they didn't speak about events, skins, like the basic issues. Like I can't, the lunar event had one $10 recolor skin, and that's their monetization system, and that's it. You know what I mean? They didn't speak about anything to do with that. Something that is still genuine. I know I'm a little bit on my own here. Level 45 is too much for Ramattra, and I was able to get backup from Reddit. When someone hit level 45 initially, people have skewed how long it took just because now we're closer to the end of the season. Not mentioned at all. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down below.